I basically just got out of the hyperbolic time chamber when I was there in Big Bear.
Let's go, Meat Boys. You see the text back with another absolute meat lock. And in this one, Rinat Fakhretdinov is looking to spoil the return of the Motown Phenom. Welcome back, Kevin Lee. I personally think that the UFC is a lot funnier when Kevin Lee is around. So I'm excited for the return of the Motown Phenom. And we'll see if Kevin Lee can have a resurgence and continue his win streak. Because the last time we saw him, he might not be the best fighter in the world, that is Kevin Lee, but he is coming off a nice win over Diego Sanchez, and that was in the now defunct Eagle FC, and it wasn't that great of a fight. In fact, I think people expected Kevin Lee to really dominate that fight, and it might have been a little bit closer than some would like to admit, but nonetheless, Kevin Lee was able to end his 3-fight L streak that sent him out of the promotion. Oliveira submitted him. D-Rod spoiled his welterweight debut, and it's interesting to note that Kevin Lee is just continuing with that welterweight style, given the fact that, he's a little dude. He's 5'8", maybe, and I always thought that while it was a difficult cut, 155 was probably the division where he'd be most competitive, but nonetheless, he's returning to welterweight. He's taking on the Gladiator Rinat, and the Gladiator Rinat is looking absolutely sick lately. His record speaks for itself. He's 20-2, and when we just saw him, it was against Bryan Battle, and I know I personally thought that fight would be way more competitive, and Bryan Battle sort of got dominated by Rinat in that one, so I'm curious to see if he does the same thing to Kevin Lee. We tend to think he will, Meat. So what are your thoughts on how this fight plays out? Why is Fakhretdinov the easiest meat lock we've had in a while, and how's he get it done?
Yeah, I'm blown away on Kevin Lee. He was the GOAT of Eagle FC, absolutely winning a beautiful decision win versus Diego Sanchez. That's insane that he beats Diego Sanchez. Diego's a legend, so it's very surprising to see Kevin Lee is an underdog, I'm going to be honest. But with that being said, Kevin Lee is still a bum, and that's why they cut him. And that's where Rinat is just an absolute lock, boys. Like, this is the lock of all locks. Let's get Rinat, fight someone that has some fame. Motown, he's still got some, popularity. People love him. He's funny. He's a character. He used to be a top 5. He used to be a potential champion at one point until Tony Ferguson took his soul, it seems. And that's where I think Rinat is going to do the same. I think Rinat is going to demolish from beginning to end, and Kevin Lee just isn't the fighter he used to be. I don't know if he got off the juice or if he lack of motivation or just mental health or what it is, but it's almost like he's going down the Darren Till path of just like going from such greatness. He peaked, and now it's just all downhill from here. But yeah, Rinat is an absolute lock. I think this is going to end really brutally in dominant fashion, and possibly even early.
I was going to ask you that because Rinat does have some solid finishes on his record. When we saw him make his debut, that obviously went the distance against Bryan Battle, and that was a very much position over submission type contest for Rinat, where he seemed to just take Battle down and realize that he could just hold him there for 15 minutes and emerge victorious with the decision. But do you think that in this debut, in this prelim headlining opportunity, which I like how you said that because it does seem like, yo, here you go, Rinat, prelim headliner, Kevin Lee, who has some mainstream name brand recognition, here's a potential layup for you. Do you think that Rinat, even though he won a decision most recently, all things considered, might get a finish over Kevin Lee?
Yeah, I think that's the plan, and I think that's the plan for Dana White. He's like, oh, hey Kevin, you want to come back? You're begging? Okay, fine. Here's one of the biggest killers in the division that nobody wants to fight. This is the only one you're going to fight, or else you're not in the UFC. He goes, well, I need a job. Eagle FC is donezo. Bellator doesn't want me, so I want to go back. And then he took this fight, which he could be sent to BKFC after this, because depending on how he performs, I think he's going to perform very badly versus Rinat. Rinat, he's just on a totally different level in my opinion, and I just think he's going to dominate. It's going to be sad to watch. That's how I see this fight, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a lock nonetheless for Fakhretdinov. I don't know, though, if it will be maybe a little bit more competitive than we're setting it up, but nonetheless, this should be, whether it's close, whether it's an absolute body sesh, this should be a win for Rinat, and in so doing, we'll be throwing down an easy 380. It's going to net 200, get us that 77th meat lock, keep us well within the green, and get us back on track from that Jillian Robertson disaster of last week. But nonetheless, we think that Fakhretdinov in this prelim headlining spot is the dude to get the meat lock back on track. So I'm going Rinat Fakhretdinov, but I'm going to go by decision, Meatboy. I think maybe this does go the full 15, but either way, yo, I'm kind of stoked Kevin Lee's back. Any last thoughts?
No, 100%. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see this fight. This is a lock. Now, let's know in the comments. Are you riding with the lock, or are you taking the Motown Phenom with his debut return?